Alright, welcome back. Last episode, we're gonna talk about the Spazzo observer and what it is, how we can install it, and what you can do with it. So let's jump right into it. Here's our game scene, and you know that there's this overlay that's like built around the Alliops observer. So we're gonna have to probably make adjustments to that one. And the first thing you need to know, of course, is where to get the Spazzo observer. So that is, of course, in the link in the document, which is linked in the video description. And this is where it will bring you to the Spazzo replay GitHub. So where you want to go here, like you want to read through this really, but the important part is you go to releases, and we're gonna go through this in two stages. The first one is just getting the observer itself and getting it to run, and the second step will be adjusting and modifying the observer itself. Alright, so for the first one, all we need is the Spazzo obs.storm interface file. So we would just go and download this one. So if you click it, it will ask you to save it. I have already saved it. I have it here in my streaming folder. I have here Spazzo observer. Oh, actually, sorry, this is for something else. We have to save that. Let me quickly find this. So how do you find the folder? This is a good lesson. How do you find the folder where you have to save your interface? Well, I can show you this here in OBS. So this is my game scene. Let's get rid of everything else really quick so that you can see the actual game. Okay, so this is my game. What you do is you go to Watch, and you go to Show in Folder. And now it will open this folder here. This is where all your replays are being saved. And that's cool, but we don't need that. We go back, and we go back a little bit more, go back a little bit more, and all the way back to Heroes of the Storm. So the location of that folder depends on how you installed Heroes of the Storm. This is why we did it like that. And here's a folder named Interfaces. And this is where we also saved the Alliops Storm interface file. And in this case, we're going to save, when it asks us where do you want to save this file, you're going to put it in here. This is the one, Spazzo Ops Storm interface. Okay, so once you have done that, you can restart Heroes of the Storm, and then if you go to Options, Observer and Replay, you then have here your options. You can in an Observer interface, or in the Replay interface you can have the choice of putting in Spazzo obs.version 027 if that's the latest version you downloaded. Okay, so hit accept, and now let's actually have a look how this thing looks like, and then we can have a look on what you can do with it. So let's find a game here which is sufficiently interesting. I want something with a global hero in it, for reasons I'm going to explain later. Come on, there must be some global hero somewhere. You might be wondering, why do I need something with a global hero? That will make sense, promised. Come on, give me something. That thing, maybe. Here's the Harker. Okay, we're gonna go with this one. Alright, so if you are watching this one, and with Spazzo OBS installed and selected, we can now go into this and have a look how this actually looks like. Oh, actually, you weren't seeing anything because I didn't show you OBS. But here we are. You didn't miss much. I was just going through the game and figuring out, finding a game which I can observe, which has a global hero in it. Okay, so here we are. So this is the game, only the game. You see, like, this interface is very different from AliOps interface, right? You see there's like all the different talents are being displayed here in the top. All the abilities cooldowns are being displayed here. Maybe let me go to some point in the game. And you see it's already like all these cooldowns are being constantly being refreshed here at the top as the game is progressing. So you see the cooldowns for every single ability of every hero, and that is something you might enjoy to see during your replays or during your casting, or maybe your viewers enjoy that. And there's many more things. You have like these little numbers in here if someone has taken damage. And you have more information here. For example, on Trench, we have here, I actually don't even know what this is, but it's showing there. We can see here that Leap of Faith is up for Gucci. If we go up here, we can see that there is 51 essence collected on the Harker, right? All these kind of things. I think the numbers show up if you're below a certain percentage or hit points. So you can also modify a lot of these things. If you are going into the right in the middle here, it's like there is a button, it's barely seeable, but if you click in the middle here, an options menu opens, and you can do this while you are observing a live game, or you can do it in the observer. There's a lot of options you can choose here from. I'm not gonna go through all of those, but I'm gonna instead talk about some of the more interesting ones. For example, you could disable minion health plates if you fancy to do so. So if you look here, like these minions health plates, you can toggle these. You can toggle the core health plate if you want. So I wouldn't know why you want to do this, but you could. More interesting maybe is yeah, you can go through all of these. Like there's so much stuff in here. It's pretty amazing actually. What I think was the most interesting is what is being displayed next to these heroes. So for example, on Anduin, Leap of Faith makes a lot of sense. If that one is available, you want to show it, right? You could also go and not show anything. You could show if whether Chastise is up or not. Whether Inner Focus is up or not. I mean, that talent isn't even picked yet, but Leap of Faith makes a lot of sense because that is a very important cooldown on Anduin, and this is why I wanted to have a global hero in here. I think during casting it's often very interesting to know whether the global ability of a hero is up or not. So I would actually go and I would change here, instead of showing the amount of essence collected, I would go and show the Brush Stalker ability instead, whether that one is on cooldown or not. Right, so if Billy Bob Joe actually goes and uses this Borrow, the Brush Stalker ability, then we will see the cooldown popping up here and how long it will take for that to come back. Here on Tester we have Resonance Beam. Just for a demonstration, let's put the Moonfire here on the Malfurion, and actually let's start the game. And you see how the cooldown is being displayed of the Moonfire, right? So for each hero you can decide which one is the most important ability, or if there is no important ability you can just completely disable that. Another one here would be so these are is Molten Core on Ragnaros. Is that one up? That makes a big difference, right? And there's even more things here. So like if Ragnaros is in Molten Core, you can display the different abilities of the Molten Core here as well. You can do this for every hero. So there's like interesting things here. And there's like more options for depending on what hero we are actually talking about. Deep Tunnel would be the burrow ability of Aberfur, so that might be another one you want to show. And you have to apply your own judgment here. Like, do you really want to give like this information overload to your viewers by putting something next to each nameplate, or do you want to like be a little bit less spammy here and just keep these things off for most of the heroes? You can display the minimap, and also this is kind of interesting if you are like a video creator and you want to create some videos from replays. You can get rid of all these things and have just the game showing, right? So you don't have like stupid nameplates or health plates showing in your hype video, and or the minimap showing. So you can get rid of all of that as well, and that's pretty nice. So I think that's really cool. You can also get rid of this complete line here. Let me check. That is. Where is it? Top bar ability cooldowns? No. Oh, here, I think. No. It's somewhere. Generic settings. Okay, you see this aligning those display buffs. There is somewhere you can turn off here. So you can display this. You can completely get rid of the basic abilities, for example, if you don't like those, and that makes it a little bit less clutter over here. And there's another reason why you might want to do this. Anyways, let's come back to this. There you can close that. Okay. So this is how the Spazzo observer works, and you can fiddle around with these things during your cast, but there really needs to be like not much happening at all in the game. Like, people don't want you to see like making adjustments to your observer while the game is running. Usually people want to see the game running instead. So make sure that you have these things in place beforehand, and we're going to talk about that a little bit in a second. A quick word about the Spatzo observer as it is. If we go back into our OBS here, and if we put the game overlay on it, you see that this is actually clashing a little bit here, right? So this in the middle here is on top of the Spatzo observer, because the Spatzo observer is a little bit bigger in the top part. Alright, so what do? Well, you have to adjust your overlay, of course. We have talked about several ways of doing this. The easiest way of doing this, however, is just taking this and bringing it down a little bit like that. And that should do the trick. It doesn't look as pretty as before. You might go and change this graphic actually to go all the way up here, or to like be flush with that part over here by modifying the graphic itself and then modifying the CSS file respectively, and that's totally legit. I would recommend you to do so, but if you don't know how to do so or you can't bother to do it, then I would say just use this and just take the game overlay and draw it down a little bit, and then you are fine too. It doesn't look as perfect as it could be, but it's still alright. Okay, so that is the Spazzo interface. And I said you want to have these settings done before you are actually getting to the game. So how can you do that? Well, you have the option to take these settings you have here and actually export them into a new interface. So how does that work? Well, first of all, let's go back into the home page. Here we are. So on the home page there is this conversion.zip folder. So you're gonna download that one, and if you go into my streaming folder, you have here the Spatzo observer, and this is just that folder unzipped. This is like all that's in there. Okay, and there is a special folder in here that's called export settings. That's the one you were really interested in. So now going back into our OBS and through OBS into our game. Let me actually make this a little bit larger so it's easier for you to see. Okay, so you go in here and you make all the changes you want to make. For example, getting rid of the talent of the normal abilities, cooldowns in here. Then you can go and you say export settings, and you click that, and not much happens. But it is because there is like something in your clipboard now. So you go back to the export settings folder, and there's already a text file in here. You can get rid of that one. So you create a new text file. I just call it whatever. Doesn't matter how it is called. You just open it, and you do Control V or just paste whatever is in your clipboard right now. And you see there's a lot of stuff. Now that's fine. Just save it and close it. Alright, so now we take this text file and we just drag it on top of rename dragged file.bat. Just drop it on here. And you don't see it on screen, but like this opened up. And it just tells me to press a button. And that's fine. Okay, so what happened is that this file, customconfig.stormlayout, this file is now being updated. So this is a new file. Okay, so what we do next is we go to the interfaces folder here, and let me get rid of this one really quick. So what we do is we take this customconfig.stormlayout, we just copy this over here into our interfaces, and now we take it and we drag it on top of import custom settings.bat. Just drop it here. And again, it will open this command shell and it will tell you to press a button because it's done. Alright, so now a new file was created in here. I don't know, maybe you missed it, but a new file was created in here, and it says custom config storm interface, which is a kind of bad name, but you can now safely delete the custom config storm layout because we don't need that one. And we have here this one instead. So now, if I go back into my game and I quit the replay, and you might have to restart your game, but if you go under Options and Observer Replay, you now Don't have it anymore. Perfect. Let's go and restart the game. And maybe I did this wrong. I think this is supposed to be called just custom config storm interface. Let me see. Actually, it's supposed to be called like this. Oh, okay. I know what I did wrong. Okay, let's get rid of all of these. I did this wrong. I'm sorry. What you need to do is you're not copying this one over. You are just taking the Spazzo ops interface and you drag that one on import custom settings.bat. Like that. And again, it will tell you to press a button here. And now we have Spazzo ops custom config storm interface in here. That's what we wanted. Okay, restarting the game. Give it a second to boot up. And I'm not sure you have to restart the game. If it is not showing up immediately after you have done this thing, you would have to restart the game. I'm not sure if it updates that one on the fly. I think it does, but I'm not sure. Okay, so we are back in the game. Oh, that's great. Game is buggy as always. Alright, here we are. So we go to watch. And this is the same game as before. We now can go into options, go to observer and replay. And now let's see the difference between Spazzo ops, the original one, and the custom config. So we go to the original one first. Watch solo. And if you remember some of the changes we did, you will recognize that these changes are reverted. Here in the top, you can see all the abilities are showing up again. On the Harka, we see the essence instead of the borrow cooldown. So everything has been lost, what we have said before. So if we quit this replay and now go into our custom observer, options, observer and replay, Spazzo ops custom config, hit accept, watch the replay again. And now this one is the actual updated version. So here we have a brush stalker ability. Here we have the dig ability of Everfur. Like all these abilities up here are gone. All the settings we had before are now being shown properly as before. And this is iterative too. Let me pause this really quick. If we go now from here into the options, you can make some more changes and you can do the export settings again, go through the whole procedure again, and it will update your custom interface again. And that's that. You can even, I bet, I have actually not tried this myself, but I bet if you just rename this, you can even create several profiles of Spazzo ops if you want so. Alright, and that is the Spazzo observer, something you might want to tinker around with if you feel adventurous. I just wanted to show this because I think it's a pretty cool observer. It has lots of features, and I think I'm gonna use this in the future for those heroes who have global abilities. I think those are very interesting to see these cooldowns on next to the nameplate, and also some other heroes like Leap of Faith being able to see this cooldown all the time. I think that's pretty cool, and if you think also that this is cool, you might give this one a try. Obviously, you need to adjust your overlays a little bit, but not much. It's only the game overlay. So with that, we are through the whole video series. This is the last episode. I hope you guys had fun watching it. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you got some inspiration out of some of the things you want to try out for your own casts. And I hope to see some of you guys out there casting some cool games, creating hype, and bringing fun to everybody in our leagues. And with that, thank you for watching. See you on the Nexus.